Today I'm going to show you step by step how to make homemade dinner rolls. It's not as difficult as it may seem. I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. So start with 1 stick of unsalted butter in your pan and 2 1/4 cup milk. You're going to heat this over medium heat. You don't want it to come to a boil, but you want your milk to get nice and warm and your butter to melt. Set that to the side and we'll come back to it in a minute. So for our dry ingredients, we're going to add those to our mixing bowl. We're going to start with 2 cups of all-purpose flour. Then to that, we're going to add in 1/2 cup sugar, 2 teaspoons salt, and we're going to add in 2 packages of active dry yeast. You're going to add all of that to the bowl, and then we're just going to give it a stir just to make sure everything is well incorporated before we add our liquid ingredients. So go ahead and add that yeast in the bowl, and I'm going to give it a good stir. Now for this recipe, you don't have to proof your yeast first. I know some do that. We're going to just mix everything right in the bowl. We're going to be fine. So just trust the process. So everything is mixed up nice and well. We're going to go back to our milk and our butter. Now we need to take the temperature. You want your milk and butter to be between 105 degrees and 115 degrees. You do not want it to be hotter than that. It'll kill your yeast. So if it is, let it chill for a little bit longer and then come back to it. So we're at about 113, almost 114. This is perfect. We're going to go ahead and start to add this to our bowl. So you can see our temperature. It bumped up a little bit when I took it out, but it's okay. All right, so we're going to go ahead and add that to our bowl, that butter and that milk, nice and warm. And then we're going to add in 1 large egg. So that goes right into the bowl too. So your mixture is going to look a little bit watery. So I'm going to tell you that right now before we start. So just start to mix everything together. It's going to look a little bit watery. Don't worry. We're going to add more flour. But you just want to get everything going nice and well incorporated. And we're going to allow this to mix for about 2 to 3 minutes. I start on low for about 30 seconds and then increase the speed to medium and let everything mix for about 2 to 3 more minutes. So you can see everything's getting well incorporated. We're getting there. And after that 2 to 3 minutes, it'll look something like this. And we're going to add an additional 3 to 5 cups of flour. It really depends on how your dough is looking. So I give you a nice wide range. So start with about 3, and then we'll mix a little bit. And if we need to add more, we definitely will. And I'm going to show you how the dough is going to look. So let's start this on low because flour is going to go everywhere. And just let everything start to mix. And I can see that the dough is still super wet. So I know I'm going to add in more flour. And I'll just start with about a cup and a half, and just see what the dough is looking like. So I want everything to kind of pull away from the sides. It's not going to form a solid ball at this moment, but I'm going to touch it and try to show you the texture of what I'm looking for. So you can see when I added that extra flour, it's starting to pick up the dough and flour from the side. It's still a little bit wet, so I'll add a little bit more flour. Like I said, 3 to 5 cups. And you just want to kind of play it by ear. And this is coming together. Just letting it mix. And I'm going to touch it and I'm going to see how it is. So let's see. It's still a little bit sticky, but it's not really sticking to my hand. So this is actually perfect for me because I'm going to knead the dough by hand on a floured surface. And that's going to incorporate that last amount of flour that I think my dough needs. And then I'll be able to fill the dough. And once it gets nice and smooth, it's good to go. So you see I have some flour down. I'm just getting all of that dough out of the bowl. Yes, it's a little bit sticky, but like I said, it's not really sticking to my fingers. And I'm just going to knead it by hand. Now, this process takes about 5 minutes. If you don't want to knead it by hand, you can leave your dough in the bowl and just put the dough hook in there. I just find that I get better results when I knead it by hand because I can feel the dough and I can see and feel how it's going. So if that makes sense to you. So to knead your dough, you're just going to fold and push, fold and push. And you can allow the dough to pick up a little bit of flour as you're kneading. But if you feel like the dough is getting towards the point where it's getting a little bit dry, like push some of the flour to the side like I'm doing right there. and just keep on kneading. And if you need some flour, just grab a little bit more. So you can see the texture of the dough is changing already. It's getting nice and smooth. It's forming a nice ball. It's nice and springy. It's springing back the more you knead it. And that's why I said I took it out of the bowl when it was still a little bit sticky looking, but I knew I was going to incorporate this flour when I was kneading my dough. So hopefully this is making sense to you. All right, so keep on kneading. Like I said, I kneaded the dough for 5 minutes. I'm not going to make you wait 5 minutes, but I do want to show you how the dough starts to change over time. Just keep on kneading. And I'm feeling it too. I'm feeling that the dough is smooth and it's no longer sticky. It's picked up enough flour. It's nice and springing back. And when you poke it, which I'll show you in a minute, it's going to bounce back a little bit. So see how my fingers are not sticking? I thought it needed a little bit more flour, so a little bit soft. Just need a little bit more. I think I did another maybe 1 to 2 minutes. We're almost there. Looking good. So look how nice and smooth our dough looks. That's what we're looking for. I can't help myself. Sometimes I just have to go back and knead a little bit more just to make sure. So we're going to use half of this dough for rolls and half for cinnamon rolls. I do want to mention that. All right, so look at our dough. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. So I'm going to poke the dough with my finger. See how it bounces back? Perfect. This is perfect. That's how your dough should look. All right, so I'm going to grab a bowl. And what I'm going to do is put the dough in a bowl, but I'm going to put some oil in the bowl first. That's going to keep the dough from sticking as it rises, because it's going to rise for about an hour to an hour and a half, so it's double in size. So put a little bit of oil. I use vegetable oil, whatever oil you like. I'm just going to flip the dough over just to make sure it's coated on the sides and the top and the bottom. And then we're just going to cover our bowl loosely with some plastic wrap. Or you can use like a damp kitchen towel, a nice clean kitchen towel that's a little bit damp. What I usually do is put my dough over by the stove and I put a pot of water simmering off to the side just to create a nice humid environment for my dough to rise. Dough loves a nice, warm, humid environment. So about an hour and a half is what you need, and the dough is going to double in size. Look at our dough. It's beautiful. So at this point, you're going to punch the dough down. You're going to punch all that air out of your dough. And you can see how it deflates. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to form half of this dough into dinner rolls. Like I said, I'm going to use the other half for cinnamon rolls, and I'll post that video a little bit later. So to form my dinner rolls, I just pinch off pieces. I'm not worried about them being absolutely perfect. And I just pinch the bottoms together and roll the dough on my palm until I get a nice rounded, smooth top. So pinching the bottom, roll the dough. You can also do this on the table. And once I get that nice, smooth, rounded top, I put it right into my baking dish. All right, so let's do a few more. I'm going to fill up one baking dish. See how I'm just pinching the bottoms together, rolling the bottom of my palm, get a nice, smooth, rounded top. Looking good. There we go. All right, let's pinch some more. And if you wanted them to all be the same size, you can weigh the dough balls. You can cut your dough. You can put it on the table and cut it into pieces, kind of eyeball to make sure they're all the same size, and then roll your rolls. It's totally up to you how you do it. I just kind of freestyle. All right, so our rolls are looking good. We're going to cover this sheet in plastic wrap again. We're going to allow the rolls to rise, and proof is what we call it, until they're doubled in size, about 45 minutes to an hour. This is what the rolls look like. Look how big they are. They're huge. So I'm going to pop these rolls in a 350-degree oven for about 15 to 18 minutes. They'll be nice and golden brown just like this. If you want them lighter, just bake them a little bit less. I'm going to brush on some melted butter, because what's a roll without melted butter? You got to have some butter or honey butter or whatever you like. Just brush the rolls like I'm doing here. And this is what they look like. So I'm going to pick one up and show you how nice and light and fluffy they are. Look at these rolls. Look at the sides. Oh my God. They're so good. The kitchen smells amazing. Y'all know how fresh bread smells. I mean, it's unbeatable. That smell is unbeatable. So let me just show you all. The bottom is nice and golden brown. Look at the sides, nice and soft. I want to break it open. Y'all, look at this. Oh my God. Y'all know I ate like 2 or 3. These are so good. So hopefully you all give this recipe a try. I'll talk to you all later. Love you all. Bye.